just take a look at some of the sources of our habits. Where do our habits come from? The number one source of all habits are parents. The Brown University did a study on 50,000 families. And what they found is that most adults had the same habits that they forged at the age of 9. So I want you to just think about that for a minute. At age 9, where are you for the most part? You're with your parents, right? Because you start going to school maybe at 5 years old. So you have your parents as your main influencer. And we talked a little bit about mirror neurons yesterday. And I said how the mirror neurons are there intentionally to help with survival. They're abundant in children. And they start to go away when you go through adolescence, when you start to go through puberty. They're still there in adults, but they're not there in the abundance that they are as children. Well, this study found that for most of the families, the adults had habits that they forged at the age of 9. And so you go about your life as an adult, and you're scratching your head and you're saying, why does my life suck? Why am I struggling financially? Why am I overweight? Why don't I exercise? Why don't I do this? Why don't I do that? You blame yourself, right? You make yourself the scapegoat. The fact of the matter is it's your parents' fault. Does anybody know what Warren Buffett's father's profession was? That's correct, but do you know what he did that later in life? Do you know, for the most part, he was a stockbroker? Very interesting, isn't it? JFK, the Kennedys, RFK. Does anybody know or remember what their father's profession was?
They got full bootleg.
Well, that's true. Yeah. You know, you say it in a bad way. So he's Irish, you know, that's what we did. My grandfather used to make wine in the bathtub. I can't imagine drinking that, but you know, we Irish, we'll drink anything, right? Well, his father was also an ambassador, which means he was kind of a politician, right? He was very political. Ken Griffey Jr. Brendan, you love Ken Griffey Jr., right? Perhaps the best, most talented baseball player in baseball ever, in the history of baseball. Perhaps. He didn't have a long career because he got injured at the end, but does anybody know what his father did? His father was a professional baseball player with the Yanks. Bill Belichick, anybody know the New England Patriots? All right? He's probably going to go down as the greatest football coach, professional football coach in the history of football. And I doubt anybody's going to be as successful as him. Does anybody know what his father did? His father was a coach for Navy football. My point of all this is, we, like I talked about yesterday, pick up our instructions from our parents. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. My dad was an accountant, and I'm a CPA, and I hate accountants. Sometimes you love what your parents do, and sometimes you don't. So it's really incumbent upon you to experiment and to find out what it is that's unique to you, your unique innate talent, to expose it through experimentation. When you find you're in, and you can do this on a 6-month interval. Take 6 months, pick up a new skill, that you know, something you've never tried before. We did painting for a bunch of clients. I hate painting, or so I thought. You know, painting is a lot like engineering. I didn't know that. You can learn how to paint. Once I figured that out, I started to like it. And when we did this painting event, Pinot and Palais, I think they called it. Wine and painting. I think I might have liked it because of the wine. But I can tell you this, when I was done, I said to my wife, I'd like to do this again. And she says, who are you? I because I don't know. It reminds me of accounting and engineering and things that that are learnable. I thought it was either you had it or you didn't have it. So I want to put it to you. You ask yourselves this question. Whatever it is that you're doing for a living, how close is it to what your parents did? Right? For probably 50% of you, it's going to be pretty close. The other 50%, maybe you found your passion in life, your innate talent. You were one of the lucky ones. But, and maybe what your parent did, because, let's face it, genes, there's genetics involved, right? And if your parents really liked what they were doing for a living, and you do what they did, you're probably going to like it. I'm pretty sure my father hated accounting. I have to guess that because I hated it. So I'm thinking that what you want to do is a little bit of self-introspection. Think about what you're doing for a living and how related it is to what your parents do.